In 2009, I stumbled upon a piece of software called Particle Illusion. I got completely hooked on creating videos filled with special effects. But it didn't take long before I hit a creative wall. No matter how many effects I was adding, they still didn't look anything good. The environment around me was just boring, definitely didn't fit the futuristic vibe I was going for. And so I came to the idea of Chromakey. At first, it made things worse, but over time, it slowly started looking better, partially thanks to evolving software. In this video, I'll walk you through the chroma-keying process from the very beginning. I'll show you what gear you need, explain what actually makes a difference, and drop some useful tips along the way. So, we need to get either green or blue screen. Why those two? Well, because there ain't any green or blue in human skin tone usually. I use a blue screen these days. Previously, it was green, but then I got a few yellow props, and yellow tends to get dirty orange when you key out green. Also, I sometimes wear a green racing suit and like to change its color, so green screen is a no-go to me. There are several types of screens, or materials. You've got fabric, non-woven fabric, and paper. I've tried all of them. Paper is often praised as the best, at least on paper, pun intended, but I ended up tearing mine before I could properly test that assumption. Very fragile. I personally prefer foldable fabric ones with a built-in frame. They stay stretched so no wrinkles or shadows. And mine happens to be double-sided, blue and green. Super handy. The only thing I never tried is Chromakey paint. It's just such an extreme option, I think. Besides, if you're doing this in a rented apartment, landlords might not approve such a drastic change. Now here's the part that really matters the most, lighting. At first I ignored that crucial aspect and was filming with ceiling lamps or window light, and it was just plain awful. Once I invested in dedicated lighting, things became more interesting. I'm not going into full lighting theory here, it's a whole other rabbit hole. There are tons of great lighting tutorials out there if you're curious. When it comes to Chromakey, I actually avoid so-called cinematic lighting, with dramatic shadows here and there. I aim for something much simpler, even light across the entire screen and subject. Sometimes I use an app to measure the lighting uniformity, but that's optional. Here's my setup. 2 softboxes lighting the backdrop at roughly 45 degrees angle and 3 60-watt lights on me, sometimes from above, sometimes on the same level as camera, depending on the effect I'm going for. Ideally, they'd all be softbox shaped, but that would leave me no space in my room. If your place resembles a palace, then I highly recommend bigger light sources. All my lights have diffusion filters in front, to soften the light a little bit, though the light is still quite hard due to small lamp size. By the way, it is best to take LED lights, although the probability that you'll be offered halogen or fluorescent ones is relatively small. There must be the high CRI value, 95 to 100. This will guarantee adequate color reproduction. So don't go to the nearest hardware store. Their lamps won't work for us. One last tip here. Keep your distance from the screen. The further you are, the fewer shadows you'll cast, and the less color spill you'll get. And now cameras, most fun and most expensive part. People say Panasonic is great for Chromakey and video in general, and they're probably right. But me? I use an old Olympus. Well, not that old actually. Why Olympus? Well, it's cheaper than Panasonic on secondary market. Also, Panasonic cameras are often used by semi-professional videographers who exploit them a lot. Olympus users are built differently. Usually those are chill people who make photos of others without their permission, or document family events. Could be bored retirees hunting for birds. Soon they start to think they could just use the phone and sell the camera in mint condition at a good price, whereas Panasonic might be half dead due to extensive usage by a previous owner. I'd love to get a new one someday. Never. As for other brands, any modern mirrorless camera will do just fine. But why not using phone, especially if it's got
580 megapixel camera?
Well, you certainly can, but the video might be too compressed and noisy due to the small sensor. Plus, you're limited with focal distance, with no ability to change perspective and object's appearance. Same reason I don't recommend camcorders either, though I still occasionally bust out my old Sony from 2012. One quick fact, for full HD, your camera only uses 2 megapixels. For 4K, just 8. What a twist! So megapixel count isn't that important for video. If your budget isn't very tight, look for the camera that records 10-bit and 422 subsampling. It'll give you more color information, which in theory should make the process of chroma keying and further grading a bit easier. It would be even possible to shoot green subject on a different shade of green screen and get great results. The only ones I worked with a client's footage shot on Panasonic S1H with those parameters and V-Log, but it wasn't Chromakey shot, so my experience here is rather limited. By the way, if for some reason you've got manual lens and plan shooting yourself, then place some object, focus on it, and then remove and take its place. Even if you're using autofocus, avoid continuous mode unless you're moving around a lot and your camera supports hybrid focusing, not just contrast-based. If no, set it to single. Just like me currently. Camera settings, yes, they're actually quite important. Here's a good starting point. Frame rate, 25 frames per second. Shutter speed, a rule of thumb would be doubling the frames per second, so 1/50th, but later I'll demonstrate 1/200th and you'll see why. Aperture, don't shoot wide open as if it's portrait photography. Close to 5 or more, depending on your sensor size. Any kit lens would work absolutely fine. ISO, use your camera's native ISO, usually around 200. Avoid going past ISO 1000 unless you absolutely have to. It adds noise, and noise ruins chroma keying. There are, however, cameras with dual native ISO, which minimizes this problem. I usually shoot slightly underexposed, seems to work better with my setup. Okay, fun's officially over.
No!
Grab a free copy of Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve
Black gift.
and
Shall we begin?
But first, a bonus tip. Use Shutter Encoder to convert your footage to an editing-friendly codec like ProRes, DNxHR, or Cineform. Playback will be smoother. Plus, you can denoise and reduce banding there too. See before and after? A lot better. You can do it inside DaVinci, but it might slow things down a lot. So, here we are in the edit page. There's a video I shot for this tutorial and a static background from my old project. First thing I want to do is to delete the audio as I don't need. Select the video, right-click, unlink clips. Now you can delete audio separately from video. Control-X, done. Then, in the Effects tab, search for 3D Keyer. Once you find it, drag and drop it onto your video. Make sure you have the effects icon selected because by default it's different. Now just hover your mouse over the video in the viewport and draw, as if it's Microsoft Paint. The goal is to make your object pure white and the background pure black, and that's it. Thanks for watching. See you later. Alright, that was the easy way, more suitable for a quick preview, not the final product. Now let's break down the better way. Delete the effect in the Inspector tab. Select both clips, right-click, New Fusion Clip. And we're moving to the Fusion page. Here we have some excessive nodes that latest DaVinci versions add by default. Don't need those. Let's select those two and delete. So what's left is our 2 clips and merge node. What it does is basically telling it to stack one clip onto another. So let's connect one missing clip. It's different from layer system of Adobe After Effects, but easy to get used to. Important to notice, those arrows have different colors for the reason. The green input is for the top video and yellow one for the background. Blue one is for mask, which we don't need right now. If I select the first clip and press 1, we'll see it in the left viewport, whereas our final image is on the right side by default, though you can choose any node and press 2, but I suggest keep it as it is. Now choose the chroma key shot, then Shift Space, and look for Delta Keyer effect. If the new node was added disconnected, drag and drop it between those 2 nodes while holding Shift, and now it's time to set up this effect. In the right area, find the eyedropper icon, click and hold it while moving your cursor over the preview. As you move it, you see how the background is disappearing. The task here is to find the medium shade of background, not the darkest or brightest spot. Release the mouse, change the view mode to the matte, tweak the gain, don't try to remove the background completely here, one step at a time. Switch to pre-matte. In this mode, hover the mouse on the viewport and make a few rectangle selections as if you're selecting files on desktop. Cleans out a bit more. Switch to matte, tweak the threshold from both ends till the subject is white and background is black. Something like this. Unfortunately, this model wears light blue jeans, which isn't good for my 8-bit camera, so this area not gonna be pure white. Anyway, let's continue. Zoom in with a control scroll wheel. The edges could be smoother. Tweak the blur and erode dilate just a little. Those things are very individual, just tune it to your footage. Looks fine, I think. Maybe also clean foreground slightly. Switch to fringe. I've never felt a need to do anything here, but you can remove some extra color spill if you feel you need it. Let's get back to the final result. Enough of this black and white mess. Good idea to zoom in hair. That's usually the most problematic part. Well,
Not bad.
except for these horrible blue edges during fast movements. Remember I told you about different shutter speeds? Here's the second footage I shot with a shutter speed of 1/200. See? A lot cleaner. So if you know your object is going to move fast, use faster shutter speeds as well. I could set it even faster, but then the footage would be too dark. I'd have to raise ISO, and that, eventually, would suck big time. Let's get back to our main footage. I don't know if you noticed, but the blue screen doesn't cover the left upper angle. Very small issue. Could have just zoomed in. But instead, let's learn how to mask it. Click on this icon and draw around the model. Every click makes a point. Now click the very first point and you made a loop. Select the multi-poly node by clicking on its output, the square shape. You need to hold both left mouse button and Alt key. Drop the arrow on Delta Keyer node and release it. The menu will pop up. Choose
Garbage.
Matte. Press Invert, a little soft edge.
Done.
Now, I personally want to blur a background partially. Right now, there's like 0 depth in it, so I'm going to add some blur only to the distant wall. Using mask again, this time let's use rectangle. Drag and move it in all directions to place it. That's rather intuitive. Add box blur node. Put it in between background picture and merge node. Remember holding shift. Connect the mask to the blue input. Now you see some blur, but the ceiling and floor aren't blurred. Another thing I'd like to show you, an effect called light wrap. Basically, it's like an advanced merge node that makes edges being lit accordingly to the background. It's not a free effect, unfortunately. I still have no idea why they don't have it by default. There are tutorials that teach how to make this effect from scratch, but the setup is rather complex for such a simple effect. Previously, there was a thing called Reactor, which allowed to import free scripts, but the latest version of DaVinci ditched it, and now it's only in the paid version, so thank you very much, Blackmagic. However, this effect is quite optional. Generally, when you know exactly what background is going to be used, you can highlight the object with the needed color during the shooting. Professionals do so. Anyway, let's bring in another node, Color Corrector. Self-explainable, right? Depending on where you place it, it will affect either one of the media pieces or both at once. It's useful to blend things together. You may play with all those settings, but I feel like I don't need it here. The next stage is going to be color grading. That's another broad topic. I'll just do a few things to make the clip more appealing. In the editor page, search for adjustment layer, drag and drop it over your clip, make it the same duration, go to the color page. Here we'll add some nodes as well, but first let's analyze the video. Choose vectoroscope, turn on everything. Now, as I move my cursor over skin, it shows me whether I'm on or off the skin line. Make sure the qualifier is selected. This one looks blurry, but seems fine. Switch to waveform. Here we can check the brightness of the skin. Should be around 70. Looks fine. Now let's add some contrast and saturation. The temperature is not necessary, but I personally like shifting it to make colors cooler. Now choose the vignette effect and drag and drop it onto the node. I already know the settings as I'm using it quite often, but you'd better experiment for yourself. Maybe you don't need it. It's all up to you. Now it's time to export the finished masterpiece. Go to export page, put the cursor in the beginning of the clip, press I, then put it in the end, press O. That's going to be the selection for the render. Now type in some fancy name and choose the folder to save. I recommend the MP4 format. By default, it's QuickTime, but some platforms and messengers don't accept it. Set the bitrate around 10,000.
Is it decent quality and small size? Add to render queue. Render all. You finished it. Or maybe you just skipped to this very part. Anyway, congratulations. Oh, almost forgot. That's what I came up with for this tutorial. If you think the video was somewhat useful, like, comment, subscribe. If not, please share this video so that more people will know how bad it is. If you make something, don't hesitate to share in comments or tag me on Instagram, link in bio. And now, I think it's time to
end this.